second episode, we're back. Today on the agenda, the government is still shut down. That's right. Both houses have failed to advance any legislation, with the Senate struggling to get the support it needs, and the House being entirely out of session. We'll come back to that. Now, because of this, there have been what some consider significant, some consider insignificant federal layoffs. Those include people at the CDC, which personally I don't really feel bad about because of COVID. I don't feel bad because during 2020 to 2023, that was the organization that was instrumental in pumping out false information that led to Americans being fired from their jobs, taking things against their will, being forced into shutdowns. So, I don't know. I guess my compassion is running a little dry on that front. Also, we have people at the IRS being laid off, with estimated to be about, I think the number was 1,500 so far. And once again, I despise the IRS and what it stands for, so I don't really feel bad. I don't feel bad partially because I saw the mass amount of layoffs and projects cut to death in the previous administration due to safety concerns like a pandemic or environmental concerns. And the public consensus during that time was, oh well, find work somewhere else. So on those aspects, I am not really full of compassion for what's happened. I do wish that these people will be able to find pretty gainful employment somewhere else. But in terms of reducing the federal government, I will always be in favor of any measure that reduces the scope scope of power that they have over us. So, the Senate is in session, but the House isn't. Why do you think that could be? So there could be a plethora of reasons why the Speaker of the House hasn't called them back into session, but I think probably the biggest one is they're currently trying to figure out how to navigate Congressman Thomas Massie's petition to force a vote on the Epstein files. Now, see, he has the needed 218 signatures that will force a vote to release the Epstein files in their entirety. This is something that we've been looking for since 2019 when he killed himself. And right now, they're still out of session. Don't they care that the government is shut down? Don't they want to restart it again, get us funding for all these programs that people so desperately need? Why would they still be out of session? See, because the moment they are called back into session, Thomas Massie is going to force a vote. And Republicans are looking really bad right now. Because of the 218, I think there's only a handful of actual Republicans on that list. The vast majority are Democrats. And see, whether or not they may or may not be on the list, that looks horrendous for the right now. Because if they vote for it, they're going against the president, who does not want the files released. If they vote against it, they're showing their constituents that they are okay with the things that have happened to these people, and they are perfectly content with shutting the door behind them, making sure that we never get to glimpse into that world like we did back in 2019. Now, some of them could be on the list. I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. But it's also a major blow to their re-election chances. Most people know that if you're an incumbent legislator, you have upwards of a 90% chance of just getting reelected. That's the benefit. You have to massively screw up. And putting your name down and saying, no, don't release these files, is going to make constituents bat an eye. It's going to make them raise an eyebrow, if you will, as to who their legislators really serve. And I think truly that they're worried about this. And so they're trying to figure out a way to stop Thomas Massie from pushing forward his petition. Now, when this does happen, if he's able to force this vote, every single person who has a legislator that votes yay or nay should pay attention to that list. Because what they are telling you now is that your elected officials who you voted in to represent you are more concerned about doing what the president says, what the administration says, than the people who put them in office in the first place, than the people who can remove them from office. They're more concerned about their donors. They're more concerned about who is lining their pockets for their next campaign than they are the people who actually cast votes and make sure that these people can continue to serve their terms. Congress members only have a 2-year term for a reason. Because if they screw up, if they step out of line, if they don't do what their constituents require, they can be removed from office. But many times they're not. Partially, it's just because once you feel like you've done your job, you're done. You've got the guy you wanted in. But a lot of these people have been bought. Admittedly, why didn't these hundreds of Republican congressmen and women put their names on the petition? Just say, hey, yeah, I'm for this. I've got no problem with this. My name isn't on the list, and I don't really care whose name is on the list. Even most of us here on a regular person's level on the right are saying, release the list. Most of us on the left are saying this as well. But why haven't they? That's a problem. And that's a problem that you should remember when their cycle is up. When it's time for them to run again, they should be reminded. And reminded in a painful way, in a monetary way, that they will lose their seat if they support someone who protects these kinds of people. This is something that we cannot let slide. This is the problem. The speed of social media is everything phases in and out so quickly, so abruptly, that we miss it. 2 to 3 days, max population gets to see everything that's going on, and then it gets cycled out again. This is something that we, as American people, cannot let slide. We're not over this. I don't care what the president said. It happened back in 2019. Why are people over this? No, we're not over this. Because we had a glimpse into an evil, awful, dark world that exists right alongside ours and regularly intersects and damages ours. He has people ready to testify. So we cannot allow these types of things to persist. As Americans, we just can't. This happens in our society. We've gone through and shown by multiple other people how this man, this horrible, atrocious man who was murdered, had deep ties to the U.S. government and our intelligence agencies. We have the Attorney General going back and forth on almost a bi-weekly basis about whether or not we have the Epstein files. We do, we don't, we never had them, we do have them, they're on my desk. They're playing this dumb game because we finally have been exposed to a world that we were never supposed to see. And now they're trying as hard as they can to shut the doors, close the windows, and tell us all just to forget. And that is something that we absolutely cannot do. We cannot let this die, ever. Because while we're all waiting for this to happen, they're making moves in other places. Trump said in an interview recently that he was considering pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison for the next 20 years for sex trafficking to nobody. To nobody. Because if they admit who she was trafficking to, well, that opens another can of worms. People might actually start asking questions again. We can't have that. We can't have the American people knowing that their government is involved in some atrocious things, like funding the Taliban, a group that we're supposedly against on a fundamentally moral level. We quite literally sent USAID funds to them. That's not a lie. That's not a joke. You can quite literally look it up. There are pictures of terrorists with USAID flags and banners hanging in the background of their pictures. Our money is being sent to people who despise us and who hate our values as Americans. And you cannot be okay with it. No one can. You cannot let this slide. You cannot let this die. For the first time in history, we are getting, thanks to brilliant independent journalists and the power of the internet, we are getting access to things that we never knew about before. They can't operate in the same way that they used to. And because this is such an old system, they're having trouble playing catch up now. They're trying to figure out how to subvert the rules again and operate while we all just sit back blindly, but we're not blind anymore. And if we want the America that we always dreamed of, this is a major step in that direction. So think about that as you go about your day. Secondly, another fun little example of what's wrong in the world today. So I guess that Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire brokered by the president. And we're all very, very proud of him. Thank you so much for doing this, President Trump. I hope it lasts a little bit longer than the ceasefire did last time, where Israel said, okay, and then kept shelling the people in Gaza. Hamas is defeated, if you could even call it ever a true force to begin with. Yes, they made some sporadic attacks, and recently they held a remembrance for the October 7th attacks. But Israel is an overwhelming force backed by our dollars. Issues aside, there is no battle anymore. You can look at before and after pictures of the Gaza Strip right now. It is a rubble wasteland. There's no one left to fight. They've controlled everything and all but exterminated the native people living there. Why do we keep playing this game? And remember when I referenced earlier that the United States had recently decided that we were going to stop sending funds to the Taliban? Well, and you can look this up as well, it seems that Hamas kept getting money through Qatar, which we're now very interested in, at Israel's allowance. Millions of dollars got into the Gaza Strip. You know, food and water couldn't. Nothing could get in that would actually help the people. But somehow Hamas kept getting millions of dollars from Qatar. And Israel allowed this. And, oh, yeah, of course, it was supposed to be for aid. But mysteriously, none of it went to help get the people in Gaza aid. It only seemed to fund Hamas. How did it go to Hamas every single time? Israel completely controls that area. They have for some time now. Limited resistance, but why would Israel allow funds to be going to their enemy? They knew it was happening. They deny it now. Of course, Bibi will come on TV and say that we had no idea that these funds were going to Hamas for years. We had no idea that these millions of dollars that we allowed to come through Qatar somehow ended up in the hands of our enemies. Okay. But wouldn't it make a little bit more sense if they were pumping money into an enemy they knew they could defeat? If they had a more justifiable reason on a global scale to massively displace and exterminate people? Wouldn't that make just a tiny bit more sense? And then you have the president of Israel, or the prime minister, whatever he is, comes on national television talking about the woke Reich, or the woke right, as he likes to call us, because we don't support Israel's actions in the Middle East anymore. They're losing support, and they know it, which is why you can see, and you can look this up as well, that Israel is now paying $7,000 per pro-Israel post to their influencers. Why? Why is the president of Israel talking about buying TikTok? Because the narrative is dying, and they know it. Their support is on the way out. No regular American citizen anymore is in favor of what they're doing, aside from those who only get their news through very traditional sources. I'm looking at Fox, and I'm looking at CNN. No one believes in it anymore. Back in the day, yes, the left had a more accurate stance on it, and the right was kind of off the rails. But it's clear through social media, through everything, through the journalists they've killed, through the aid they stopped, through the blockades they created. This is a nightmare. This is a mess. And no one's buying the story anymore. And then you have the leader of Israel comes on our television insulting American citizens and talking about how he is going to propagandize our media even harder to make sure we get the message about why they're the best and why what they're doing is right. If any other country did this, we would lose our minds. President Trump went on live television and bullied the leader of Ukraine, which arguably had a more defensible position to why they should protect their borders. But not Netanyahu, which is not his real name, by the way. He is of European descent. You can check that as well. Why? Why is this happening? We cannot keep allowing this to happen. We cannot keep allowing our elected officials to continue moving in this path. They are bought and sold by an organization that has been here since essentially the 40s. They're so deeply entrenched that we can't even get AIPAC to register as a foreign lobby. All they do is lobby on behalf of a foreign nation, and we can't even get them to register as a foreign lobby group. We can't make our elected officials work for us. This is ridiculous. I don't know what the answer is on how to stop it outside of stop giving your money to these politicians and stop voting for the same people over and over and over just because you recognize the name. Elections matter. Your vote does matter. And these people count on you not paying attention, not doing your research, and voting them in time after time and time again. And this is not a right or left thing. There is plenty on both sides of the aisle that are completely bought out by these foreign lobbyists and donors. All with a collective interest in making sure that this awful nation is allowed to continue on with its campaign of death and destruction. This cannot be allowed to continue. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. You're sick of it. Mind you, we have a federal government shutdown and a debt number in the trillions. And then you get to find out that your tax dollars are being sent overseas to make sure that more people die. Have you ever watched any of the interviews before the Gaza Strip was absolutely leveled? Videos of Palestinian people being interviewed saying that before all this happened, them and their Israeli neighbors used to have their children play together in the street. They used to invite these people over for dinner. These were normal people. Yes, there were extremists. It's the Middle East. Yes, of course. I don't and I won't argue that. But these people have nowhere to go. And our money is making sure of that. This nation cannot survive without our tax dollars being pumped in and pumped in and pumped in. And I know others have said this. But the funny part about how we give them our money is we go ahead and, if it's a grant, they have to tell us what they're going to do with the grant. Right? Because that's what you do when you apply for a grant. You have to say what the grant is for, and you have to essentially give receipts on how you're going to use it and what you use it for. So we give them a loan on this money. All this money we give them. Millions and billions of dollars. And then we forgive the loan. So we're giving them, an endless budget, and we're allowing them to do whatever they want with it. And they know they can just keep coming back for more. Drain the United States dry. Because we are their ally, and they're our best ally, even though they spy on us in peacetime. They spy on us in peacetime. We know this. We have proof of it. We do nothing about it. In other news, and I would say more light news, have you seen the new AI actor that's been going around? It's cracking me up. Already got a talent agency ready to book her, already have managers, and this AI actress hasn't even set foot on a set yet. Not real. And everyone's already clamoring for her. Personally, I think it's absolutely hilarious. Hollywood stars are getting nervous because AI is coming. They didn't think it would come for their jobs. They pushed for it. They said it was okay, whatever jobs we take from you. But uh-oh, not from the upper echelon. Not from Hollywood movie stars and directors. Writers? Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? I don't care. Replace all of Hollywood with AI. I do not care. The PR people are going to have such an easy job because the AI isn't going to be running around doing drugs and getting into accidents, breaking into people's homes and holding them at knife point, turning their children transgender. I don't care. I do not care about what that horrible swath of people that pump out our movies in Hollywood have happened to them. I just don't. It would quite literally reshape the way we make movies because these people aren't going to cause any trouble. They're not going to get caught in some sex scandal. They're not going to do any of this because they're not real. They're going to go in, they're going to act, they're going to run off of a script that is designed for them, and then they're going to power down for the day, be done for the day. And they're not going to go home to their trailer and get involved in some huge scandal that makes the movie have to cut them early or the TV show have to write them out of the script because they got caught in acts involving a minor, or they went to they got too much cocaine and went out and caused a huge scene outside in public. There's not going to be any more cases of movie producers inappropriately acting with their actors and actresses. No more instances of children actors being abused because it'll all be AI. So yeah, take all their jobs. I don't care. I genuinely do not care with those horrible people. I don't care if they lose financially. I just don't. It's just completely a non-starter for me. Boo-hoo. I'm so sad. Sorry. You can't be deviants anymore and make millions of dollars on top of that and then brag to me from your ivory towers about how I can't run my air conditioner because it hurts the environment, and then hop on a private plane and pollute more than I ever could in my life. I don't care. It's just not a thing for me. But, you know, I'm sure there are some people who do care, the people who follow movie stars relentlessly and music stars and all of these different people. Personally, I've never cared about what the lives of the insanely rich think of me anyway, because they routinely refer to us as less than human. You don't understand what real life is like. You haven't lived real life in years and years and years. You're making millions of dollars a year, and you live in these places that I could never dream. So forgive me if I don't care that someone's coming for your jobs. You gonna protest again? Go burn Hollywood down. Not this time. This time you lose. Because AI is not gonna stop. It's shown that it's not gonna stop. I mean, have you seen the videos that Sora is capable of producing? I'm 25 years old, and I am struggling to see what is real and what is fake anymore. It's getting really hard. Some of these videos, I genuinely cannot tell. And once it gets good enough, there's going to be no need for all you freaks anymore. Sorry. Go find a real job. Hope those years of pimping yourself out to all these awful people so you could land this role, hope it was worth something. Because, we don't care. If you looked at the numbers for like Hollywood Music Awards now, they're the lowest they've ever been. Because no one cares what these uber rich people are doing. What these absolute freaks who have so much money that the only thing they can do left is depraved things to other people. We don't care what happens. Sorry. Tough. Oh well. I do care what happens to the music industry because I think that there's a level of authenticity in some of the smaller artists that definitely will take a hit. I'm interested to see what will happen as that progresses forward. But as far as movies go, I don't care. Not at all. Sorry. See ya. Sorry that the Flash won't be able to break into people's houses and choke people anymore. You know, I don't care. Anyway, those are the things you should look into. The last one's more of a fun little tidbit that I recently discovered. But look into Congress, why it's shut down, why the House will not come back into session. Look at what Thomas Massie is doing. Look at the conflict between Israel and Hamas right now. The ceasefire, which they broke last time, they literally broke it in the face of Trump. They violate international rules all the time, and they don't care because they have the biggest military in the world and a president who answers to their every beck and call, and a Congress who will bend over backwards to make sure that this tiny nation that's the size of New Jersey gets what it wants. Over the interests of American citizens, of course, why care about us? We can worry about a foreign nation who routinely takes advantage of us, spies on us, and uses our money to kill people. Why would you focus on American citizens? Not even the ones that voted you in. Not even a loyalty to the ones who voted you in. But yeah, keep supporting them. Keep supporting them. So look into that. And finally, look into the AI actresses. The new wave of movies. It's going to be great. I cannot wait till we get all of these absolute degenerates out of Hollywood. And then it's all just taken care of. We just get to watch movies now. We don't have to hear them input their little stupid political biases. I won't have to watch a movie and be like, oh, wow, they shoved a trans character in there. It's just going to be some not real person up there talking, spitting out their lines, doing what they're told, giving a little tearful acting scene, and then leaving. It's going to be great. Sorry, you had your chance. You're all awful people, and we don't care anymore. Tough. Anyway, that's all I have this time. Take it easy, folks. Have a great day. And remember, Christ is King.